This is Val Tapia at 38IZ Videos. Our musical guest today is someone who you'll see, is very familiar to Arizona, specifically in Tempe. And they'll be coming to town. The band is called the Gin Blossoms, and they'll be in town. And opening the show will be Big Head Todd and the Monsters on Saturday, September 8th at the Van Buren. We got a lot to talk about with Robin, and the new album, new tour, and a little bit of the past. So without further ado, via Skype, Mr. Robin Wilson. Robin, how are you doing today?
I'm pretty well. Hello, Val.
Good. Good. Let's get started. 2018 has been pretty kind to you guys. You have a brand new album out, Gin Blossoms, called Mixed Reality. And I heard several of the tracks, and you guys are really onto something creatively. And give us a little bit of the backstory on why now for 2018 is the perfect year for a new Gin Blossoms record.
Well, I don't know that it is perfect, but it was just time. We were overdue, and we had met Don Dixon a few years back and wanted to make a record with him, and started writing the songs, and everything just kind of came together. So it is a great record. I feel really proud of it, and I think it could very well be our best album ever. And I don't know, we're kicking ass. We're back at the top of the mid-level.
And some of these songs you actually previewed live last year during the 25th anniversary tour of the album New Miserable Experience. Is that correct?
That is true. The Mixed Reality has been in the can for over a year. So, we've been doing some of those songs live since the spring of 2017, which is when we finished making the record. And it just took a while to get it out. But finally it's out, and our fans are responding well to it, and getting decent enough reviews. But you don't really sell records anymore. It's just not part of the world we're in.
Right. And to that point, as far as some of their favorites, let's go to some of the songs. My personal favorite on the record is track number 2, "Face the Dark." In my opinion, that song literally could be written by the Jayhawks. I mean, it's a very, and that's a compliment, by the way. It's very much Americana in 2018. And give us a little backstory of that, if you could.
Well, thank you. Well, I had written that song, and I thought at first that I was writing a song about the end of my marriage. And then when it was finished, I kind of took a look at it and realized that I think I was singing about or to or in the voice of Doug Hopkins. And I wanted it to be a song that we would have recorded in 1989. I was thinking a lot about REM. Since I knew we were going to be working with Don Dixon and Mitch Easter, I had REM in my head, and I was thinking about early Gin Blossoms, and I wanted to do something that felt like maybe it was a part of the same batch of songs that Doug had written, when we first started the group, things like Lost Horizons and Found Out About You and Dream With You and those kinds of things. So, it was kind of a combination of an REM influence and a Doug Hopkins influence, and me just doing a decent job writing it.
Also to Megapon King, the final song on the record. Give us a little background on that one.
Well, everyone in the group turned in fantastic songs for this record, and that's my favorite song of Bill Leans. Bill is our bass player, and again, that song feels to me like sort of like an REM song, and it's got an element of the Rolling Stones in it, and it's really great. There's at the end of the song, there's sort of a breakdown, and initially Bill had me singing na 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 na, and I think that's kind of lazy. I don't like it when other songwriters do that. Other bands just singing la 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 or fa la la or whatever. Right. I think it's lazy. So I said to Bill, well, it really needs some words, and do you want me to write something? And he goes, no. So Bill was adamant that he wanted to write the lyrics, and he did. And he wrote some great stuff. And if you see on the interior of the package for the album cover, there's some handwritten lyrics there, and those are the lyrics that Bill turned in to me when we were making the record in North Carolina. And I wanted that to be a part of the package for the album because I felt it was such a strong moment on the record.
Right.
And it was a great example of us not only bringing in our best work as individuals, but doing our best work as a group and pushing each other to make it really great. So it's definitely one of my favorite songs too.
There's a song on there called "Girl on the Side." Now, and something that I don't think gets talked about enough, really, with the Gin Boss, is the subtle sense of humor that you guys have brought to your music for decades. And what would you say is do you think that's missing do you think a lot of fans tend to miss that at times?
Oh, no, I don't really. I'm not so sure that that's an issue, you know.
Yeah.
I will say this, that song was written by Scott Johnson and his girlfriend, Kira Brown. And Kira wrote most of those lyrics. So it's coming from the perspective of a woman. So at first I felt like, that's kind of harsh, the lyric, the idea of girl on the side. But, once I realized it was coming from a woman and from her perspective, it gave me the confidence that the lyrics made sense and were great.
Right. And real quick, how many songs are you previewing live on the tour? New songs?
Right now we're doing 6 new songs on the tour, and then we've got plans to maybe dig up a few more. I'm currently in production for a video for Face the Dark, so there's a possibility we might bring that one into the set. And then I'm also going to be making videos for Forever Is This Night, another one of my songs. And then in October, I'm going to hike the Grand Canyon, and I'm planning to shoot a video for Mega Pond King while I'm there. So.
Cool. And regarding that, with the new record too, how significant was Don Dixon's presence on the album? How did you guys meet? And what was the experience like working with him? He's known for working with REM and the Smithereens, who we'll talk about a little bit later. What was the experience like working with him?
Well, he's a formidable presence and, an extremely gifted producer. We met him. He came to see us at one of our concerts. He lives in Ohio, and I guess we were playing nearby, and he had the night off, so he came to see us. And he was on our bus after the show, and I was really excited to talk to him. And I told him how I probably had 9 records, at least like 15 songs on my iPod that he produced, and they're some of the most important records in my catalog in terms of my influences and the kind of singer and entertainer that I became. And REM records were hugely important. Smithereens, Marshall Crenshaw, those were major records for everyone in our band.
Right.
So it just made sense that we give it a try to make a record with him. And when he told us, he's the one who suggested we go to North Carolina and record at Mitch Easter's studio. And so when I knew we were going to record with Don and Mitch,
right.
Wow, I knew something awesome was happening,
And this new album, Mixed Reality, it really is a team effort. Like I said, this isn't one person dominating the record. You guys really split the work evenly, and you really come shining through the whole band.
Well, you're right. Thank you. It really was a group effort, and as songwriters, we were all sort of broken up into our own camps, and then we came together with with all our individual songs and worked it out as a band. And so I had wanted to do more co-writing with my bandmates, but at the same time, I knew that I wanted to start by turning in a batch of songs that I had written by myself, and I wanted to present the band with a solid batch, and then go from there. And everybody stepped up. Everybody turned in their best stuff, and then making the record. Yeah, we did it as a group, and it's a really old-fashioned type of recording. We're a band where we were in the studio working together 12 hours a day and recording on analog tape. And,
wow.
We're really, it's great studio with vintage gear and microphones and things. So, and I called on all of my influences and experience making records to get the best of it. Like one example is when we were recording vocals, I was singing into a microphone, but I also had a microphone wired up about 12 feet away in the room. And that's a technique that you hear on lots of great recordings, like Rod Stewart, The First Cut is the Deepest, and David Bowie, Heroes. And it's a really great way to sort of accent certain moments of the vocal. So, for the most part, it's just me on the close mic, but, for some key moments of lyrical delivery, we would bring up the room mic that I was singing on, and it just adds a really cool depth and a vintage sound to the record. And it was a great experience. It was hard work. When you're in the studio for 12 hours a day, it's kind of like doing math for 12 hours. It takes incredible, exhausting amounts of focus.
Right.
And especially mixing the record. Wow, it really takes a lot of concentration to mix the record well, and to be hearing all of the details. And
right.
With Dawn, I had an idea in my head of the stereo picture that I wanted to create. Where one guitar's here and one guitar's here, and the acoustics here and the tambourine's there, and I wanted to make sure that the ride cymbal wasn't in the same place as the tambourine or the acoustic guitar, and wanted to, like I said, create a visual or a sonic picture that was consistent throughout the whole record. And albums like Exile on Main Street sort of feel that way to me,
right.
Where it feels like the band set up and the whole record was made almost like a live album, where
right.
You're hearing things in the same spot consistently. And I wanted it to be like that, and I wanted this to be an old-fashioned kind of record, and I think it is. In today's world, recording digitally or recording one song at a time or whatever, I wanted to do it like records were made in the 70s and 80s.
We're speaking with Robin Wilson from the Gin Blossoms, and the Gin Blossoms are actually heading to town. They'll be here for, I guess, a homecoming show for Saturday, September 8th at the Van Buren. And tickets are available at the VanBurenPhoenix.com and at the Van Buren box office. And while I'm at it, let me get the word out. You guys are also going to play in Tucson 2 nights before on September 6th. And that's at Ava Amphitheater. Very cool place to see a concert. And you can get tickets at CasinoDelSol.com. So, Robin, I want to get the word out in Tucson, too. Our friends down in Tucson. So.
Great. Good news. I appreciate it. And Val, listen, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but my phone is really low on power. I don't know when it's going to turn off. I'm sorry about that. I thought it was charged, but apparently it's not.
Oh, that's okay.
So
let's see if we can get a little forward.
All right.
Yep. So take us back to, we're going to go back to the late 80s and when the Gin Blossoms, their formative years. How did you meet Jesse Valenzuela and the gentleman you mentioned before, Doug Hopkins? How did you three meet?
Well, I knew Bill Lean and Doug Hopkins. We all went to the same high school together. They were seniors when I was a freshman, but I knew who they were. And they were in band by the time they were in there. But by the time they graduated from high school. So everyone at school kind of knew that these were the local rockers.
Right.
And then a few years out of high school, I was working at Tower Records in Tempe, Arizona, and Bill got a job there.
Right.
So I was working with Bill at Tower, and Doug would come around, and we just traveled in the same circle of local musician types. I hadn't been in a band yet, but I was like a bedroom songwriter doing open mic nights and things like that, and I was plotting my first group. And Bill and Doug were already experienced veterans. They'd been in a number of groups that were well renowned around town. Mm-hmm. And I was actually at the first Jim Blossom show. I wasn't in the band when they debuted.
Right.
Jesse was the lead singer, and they played at the Mason Jar on Christmas Day, 1987. And that was the first show. And I was working at Zia Records at this point. We closed up the store at like 9 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And it was open on Christmas Day. And we locked up the store at 9 o'clock, and me and my buddy just went racing down to the Mason Jar to catch the debut of the Jim Blossoms. And wow. I was really impressed with Jesse Valenzuela. I remember being in the crowd and thinking, wow, there's like a real front man from my hometown who's up there doing it. And I thought Jesse had a lot of charisma, and I thought he was a great singer. And the first time I ever met him was in the bathroom at that show. And then I got the job a few months later at the end of February. And I got a call from Bill. I was over at Zia Records working the cash register, and Bill was still working at Tower Records across the street. And the phone rings, and I answer it, hello, thank you for calling Zia Records. And hi, Robin, it's Bill. We want to know if you want to try out for Jim Blossoms. And I was terrified, because they were the real deal, and I still hadn't been in a band yet.
Right.
And I was just starting to put together my first band, and I had to ditch those guys to go be in the Jim Blossoms. So I joined as a rhythm guitar player. Jesse was still the lead singer. But I was singing, on my first show, I was singing 2 songs. But my second show, I was doing 6 songs. And I was singing 8 songs by the next week. And then after 3 weeks, Jesse took me aside and he said, you and I are going to switch. You're going to be the lead singer and I'm going to be the guitar player. And I was so relieved that I didn't have to play guitar now. I really just wanted to front the band. And so I'm lucky I was in the right place at the right time with the right skill set.
So really quick, to clarify, so you said you worked at Zia and Bill worked at Tower?
Yeah, well, Bill and I both worked at Tower, and then a few years later, I was working at Zia, and Bill was still at Tower.
Gotcha.
So, yes.
Okay. Because I bought many records there, so you probably sold me some of the records. I didn't think about it. And
probably. I know that our drummer Scott Hessel, in those days, Scott Hessel was a big cat on the scene too, and so I know that I sold him records in those days. Right. And so, it's really awesome that it's all full circle.
Absolutely. So going back to the tour, are there any songs in the catalog that you guys have never played that you'd love to bring to the set, or songs you haven't played in a long time? And what are they, if you could think of some off the top of your head?
Well, actually, yeah. I've discovered recently that everything we've ever recorded is on YouTube. There are demos that never made it onto records that are out there on YouTube. And I was listening to some of those recently. And one example is a song that I had written called My Biggest Gate. And I heard that just the other day for the first time. And I thought, damn, we should play this. We should dig this up. There's that one. There's a lot of stuff we had not done in a long time until the 25th anniversary tour. But once we started the New Miserable Experience tour last year, we had no choice but to dig up all that material. So things like Cheatin' and Hold Me Down, we hadn't done those songs in years. So it was nice to pull them back. And so we're doing both of those songs still on this tour.
Good.
And I don't know. I'm starting. was just beginning to think about the set for the upcoming tour that starts in September, and I was thinking about trying to dig up a few other little gems like that. But mostly, I would probably want to cull from our previous two records,
Right.
Major Lodge Victory and No Chocolate Cake. I think there's some good material on those albums that we ought to maybe bring in.
And just a reminder, we're speaking with Robin Wilson. If you're just tuning in, Robin Wilson from Arizona's own Gin Blossoms. And the Gin Blossoms will be in town on Saturday, September 8th at the Van Buren. And tickets are available at the VanBurenPhoenix.com and, of course, the Van Buren box office. And just a reminder to our friends in Tucson, if you're watching this on YouTube, the Gin Blossoms with special guest Big Head Todd and the Monsters are playing at the Ava Amphitheater Thursday, September 6th. Tickets are available at CasinoDelSol.com. Robin, real quick, couple more questions if I may. Right now, first thing I got to say this: December 2017 was a very a bad month, so to speak, for the rock world. We lost in my opinion, one of rock's greatest singers with Pat Denizio of the Smithereens. And I'm going to say this right now to the viewers, everybody out there. All the major TV networks out there should be ashamed of themselves for not making mention of this man's passing. And again, the loss of Pat Denizio. You have had the honor of fronting a few Smithereens shows this year, and it's being billed as a Smithereens with Robin Wilson. And what is it like having to fill his shoes? And to myself, the Smithereens really are arguably one of the most criminally overlooked rock bands of the 80s. And what's it like filling his shoes?
Well, I couldn't be more proud. The Smithereens, you're right, as you said, a criminally overlooked and underrated band. But people like us and the musicians in those days, we were all tuned into the Smithereens, and their records had a huge impact on me personally as a songwriter and a singer, but also our entire music scene here in Tempe was affected deeply by the Smithereens. And so here we are in the future, and I get to front the Smithereens now, and it's there's no way I can overstate how awesome it is to be doing that, and to get to represent Pat Denizio, to sing those songs, and to be a part of the group. Yes. So next January, I'm going out with them. We're going to be playing every weekend in January. We're playing in New York City and up the East Coast. I'm trying to get a Nashville date. I'm hoping to do at least like 20 shows with the Smithereens next year. And Jim and I just started talking about writing some songs and maybe putting together a record. So there's a real possibility that I'm going to make a record as the singer of the Smithereens. Wow. And that might be the most incredible sentence that I've ever said.
Well, and also too, I think if we talk about REM, and we should, it's inevitable that music history also has to talk about the Smithereens, because I mean, when I think of two contemporaries of the 80s who are so viable and so relevant to this day, REM, the Smithereens.
Yeah, me too. I'm right there with you. Those are two of my touchstones as a rock and roller, and it's amazing to me that we had met Don Dixon and we went and made this great record with Don and Mitch, and then it was through other channels last year that I got connected to the Smithereens, and they didn't really I had met Pat a number of times, but I didn't know the other guys, and they at first, I guess, were a little bit reluctant to have me involved because they didn't know me, and but Jim's girlfriend is the one that got me connected, and she just told him, just trust me on this, Robin's going to be great. And I showed up to Soundcheck, kicked ass, and and then I got this, when we started talking, I said, do you guys realize that I just made a record with Don Dixon? And they were like, what? How did, really? That's amazing. And so, it was all cyclical.
Right.
And like I say, I couldn't be more proud or excited to be a part of the Smithereens. And I'm going to show off my Blood and Roses tattoo.
All right. Awesome. Well, I hope that the Smithereens with Robin Wilson comes to town. If it does, you got to keep in touch with us because we will get the word out on the show.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, I certainly would love to do that.
Yeah. One final question. Thank you so much for your time, Robin. It's such a pleasure and honor speaking to you. And I've been trying quite a while to get one of the members of the Gin Blossoms on here, so it's a real treat for me to have us on. Our viewers are going to be really excited when this hits the air. And last question.
Thank you.
A year ago, the Gin Blossoms had the honor of being inducted into the Arizona Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame. And I was there at the show, and it was a blast. I mean, and you guys look like you guys had the time of your life. And to see all these,
it's awesome.
Yeah, to see all the luminaries that we saw there. I mean, everyone from Pat McMahon, and all our viewers will know us, and Radio Icon, and seeing, of course, Danny Zalisco presented the whole thing, and he's an icon in the music industry as well, here locally. What was it like for you? And you hear stories about saying, well, award shows aren't a big deal, but you know what? When it comes to the Hall of Fame things, it is a big deal.
Yeah, you're right. It was a big deal. I've always been so proud to be from Arizona, and as a teenager and a young adult, I wanted so badly to participate in the local music scene. And when our band had national success, I never missed an opportunity to promote the local music scene and to proudly let everyone in America know where we're from. And in fact, to this day, during the show, I say things like, we're the Gin Blossoms, your favorite band from Tempe, Arizona. And at the end of the show, every single show, I say, we're just a humble band from the dusty Sonora Desert. And I mean it with all sincerity. I'm really proud to be from Arizona. And being inducted into the Arizona Music Hall of Fame is an amazing experience for me. And to be inducted alongside the Meat Puppets was especially cool.
Right. And Rob, before I let you go, why don't you introduce the new video? We're going to be playing the brand new Gin Blossom song called Break. We're airing it right after this interview. Give us a little rundown of the video, and we'll call it a day.
Well, I directed this video, and I was really proud of it. And a lot of it was done in Sedona, Arizona, and then some of it was done at the Desert Botanical Gardens in Papago Park. And it combines two of my favorite things, Arizona and skateboarding, and also there's puppies.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time, Robin. We're looking forward to seeing Gin Blossoms on Saturday, September 8th at the Van Buren. And without further ado, here is the brand new video from the Gin Blossoms from the album Mixed Reality. It's called Break. Enjoy.